you make content that converts? What kind of funnel should you be using with your content? That's exactly what we're talking about in this video. So stick around because I'm going to teach you 4 different kinds of funnels, little mini funnels that you can be using with every piece of content that you make, so that your content is actually strategic and helps guide people to take one more step that moves them closer to wanting to pay you for the thing that you can do really well. Welcome back to my channel, and for those who are new around here, welcome. My name's Candice Davies. I'm an online business and content strategist. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how, when you're creating content, whether that's on social media, whether that's in your kind of SEO kind of platforms or SEO activities, whether it's writing emails, whatever you're doing and however you're making content in your business, how you can attach a mini funnel to it so that every piece of content becomes strategic and linked to what you actually ultimately are hoping to do in your business, which I think is to make more sales and get some more clients. So something I talk about all the time is what do you want your content to be doing for your business? So if it's like, no, I just want to be visible, I just want people to know about me, right? And in fact, I've actually got a video that speaks about this, but visibility is not a content strategy. And just because people know who you are doesn't mean that they are any closer to wanting to pay you, right? Mm-hmm. We want, ultimately, I think, the reason we're making content is to get in front of people who need us because we can help them. But also we want them to know that, you know, we are valued enough, or what we can bring is valuable enough that they want to pay us. So every piece of content, in my opinion, should be thought through. Like, what is the point of this piece of content? Now, when you're making content, there's kind of like a little sandwich, right? A little sandwich that I teach my clients about. And it kind of works like this. It works like the first layer of your bread when you're making a delicious sami is what I would say is describing symptoms, okay? And that is like, what are the words your people, the people you want to get in front of, what are the words they are using when they're describing their problem? What are they saying is the problem? Because very often, and again, I speak about this, is as business owners, we know that the thing they think is the problem isn't really the problem. It doesn't matter. They think it's the problem. So we would start a piece of content by speaking, mirroring back to them the symptoms. That's the hook. That's what gets people to say, this is me. This is what I'm struggling with. Then all the juicy good stuff in a sami, you know, the pastrami, the mustard, the tomato sauce, whatever you're putting on, mayo, is the gold that you can deliver. So yes, I know you think this is the problem, but actually have you thought about this? So that's where you can become more diagnostic. And the end bit of your content would be like, what's the mini funnel here? What's the little connector? So what's the call to action? What do you want them to do? Where can they go? What can they get to help them take another step? That's what I want to teach you about. So what kinds of things can you do? Now, most people are really familiar with what I call like a traditional opt-in funnel. And that is something like, you know, you would create your little piece of content and at the end you'd say something like, hey, by the way, I've actually got this checklist that you can go and grab. I'll drop the link for you. Go get it. The person clicks the link and they're taken to a landing page, and basically what you've said is this for that. So in exchange for your email address, I will give you this checklist. Okay, that is like a traditional opt-in. And generally, those opt-ins are then connected to a bigger funnel. So the action of the person entering their email address would activate the funnel, which very often is like an automated email sequence. And around email 4 or 5, you're going to start speaking about an offer that they could think about buying from you. So that is a traditional opt-in, okay? This for that. Audiences are very familiar with this kind of funnel. And in my opinion, very often what happens is people will want the thing that you're offering. They will give you their email address, and the minute they get the thing from you, they will unsubscribe at the very next email. Okay? So whether or not they are always helpful, I think depends on a number of things. The quality of the emails you're sending, right? So like the emails you've now written post the person getting that resource from you, is it actually like connected to the thing they just downloaded from you? Because you won't believe how many times this very simple thing is like overlooked, because in the tumult and the frenzy, the panic to just like get this funnel up, we often forget to just kind of take a step back and put ourselves in our audience's shoes and think, well, I've just downloaded this checklist on email opt-in rates, but now the next email I'm getting is talking about Instagram. It doesn't really connect, and so people are unsubscribing. So it's got to do with the quality of your emails and how well you've linked kind of that flow, the customer flow, from when someone opts in for something and then what happens. Okay. A different way to do something like very similar is to tell people, hey, I have this checklist. If you want it, here's the link. You can go get it. I don't even want your email address. Okay. So you're not asking for email. It's not a this for that. It's about cultivating some goodwill, right? Good faith, just good vibes. I want you to feel like I'm here to help you. I don't need your email address. Here it is. That way you avoid these freebie seekers. People are not unsubscribing from your list, which often affects the hygiene of your email list and things like deliverability and whatnot. Is that to say that we just stick the checklist up on a landing page and that's where things kind of hit a dead end? No. So you could have your checklist right there. You could even let them download it if they want it. And underneath the checklist, you would have a call to action that kind of would be like, hey, if you're looking for more comprehensive help around your emails, what to write, how to improve your open rates, you might want to check out this mini course, right? So you've got a direct call to action to the mini course there. So it's kind of not an opt-in, but it is a free resource, but there's no exchange. It's not a this for that. That's another kind of funnel you could use. A third kind of funnel you could use is something called like a breadcrumb. Okay, so if you've just created a piece of content, let's say again on email open rates, in that piece of content, you would say something like, by the way, if email open rates is something you're struggling with, you might want to go and check out this video or this blog where I speak about how to improve your email subject lines, right? So what you're doing is kind of like leaving a little breadcrumb. It's like from here to here, a ping pong kind of thing. And in that piece of content, if the person then decides, hey, yes, that's exactly, I'd love to watch that or read that, they go to that piece of content, and in that piece of content, you've either got a traditional opt-in or one of those kind of Goodwill, here it is, I don't need anything from you, but there is a call to action in how you could take the next step with me. So you kind of taking a person and again, really thinking through, if I've just made this piece of content about email open rates, what would make sense for the next piece of content? What would that person be interested in? Well, subject lines might be something they're interested in. Okay, so you've got your traditional opt-in, you've got there's no exchange for the resource, but a call to action. It's kind of like your good faith funnel. And then we've got the breadcrumbs, right? Now, again, in that kind of breadcrumb funnel approach, you would think carefully about, I've just created this piece of content. There's no opt-in. There's nothing. All I'm doing is recommending another piece of content to them. But we would make sure that the piece of content we are recommending does have a very direct way that the person could take that next step with you, whether it's getting on your email list or actually just taking them directly to like a micro offer. So can you see that when it comes to your content, there are lots of ways that you can attach these little mini funnels? And again, thinking about, well, what is a funnel? A funnel is really just the process someone goes through from the time they first discover you until hopefully and ultimately that final sale, right? There's a whole video on what is a funnel and thinking about funnels in a different way. You can go check that out. But your content should never be dead end. Never just a piece of content that doesn't help people take the next step. Your content can contain these little mini funnels that then activate maybe bigger, more structured funnels. Now, I also want to say one more thing. People seem to think funnels are these like extravagant and complicated like tech builds. You know, you've got to have landing pages and opt-in and registrations and forms and tags and email sequences and oh my God, you know, the thought of even creating like a freebie becomes so overwhelming just because of what goes with making a freebie funnel. Guys, a funnel can literally be a piece of content to send me a DM, right? That can be a funnel. It can be a piece of content. The link you give them is a Google sheet, okay? People don't care how fancy your funnel is. They care about what you are sharing with them and how it helps them. So if the thought of these funnels gets you into like a tiz because it just takes so goddamn long to build them, take pressure off yourself and just create the simplest kind of funnel, the next step for people that you can. Trust me when I say people don't care about your branding, your font combination. They don't care about how fancy your website is. All they care about is whether or not the information you're sharing with them actually can help them. All right, if this is helpful, I'm going to link in the description below a couple videos you can watch. What is a funnel, content strategy, all that kind of stuff for you so that you can take the next step with me and see whether or not what I'm talking about actually helps you. I'd love to know if you're going to try one of these kinds of funnels in your content, the traditional opt-in, the Goodwill, the Breadcrumb funnel, and I also have one last one, fourth funnel that is really impactful. And if you'd like to know what that is, I've created a secret video. All you need to do is comment me or send it my way below, and I'm going to put that in your hands. Otherwise, see you next time. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to do that now.